To Newsviews, I'm Judy Sue. My guest here this morning is Chicago Public School CEO Dr. Janice Jackson, having been on the job for just a few months, but a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
Especially right now, graduation season, we're approaching that. What is the graduation rate right now for CPS?
Right now it's at 77.5%, which is a record high for our district, and actually up about 20 percentage points in the past 5 years. So we're really proud that not only is it rising here locally, but we're actually leading and driving the national average.
Okay, I got to ask you about this new plan. Starting in the year 2020, the new graduation requirement, which means that every senior has to have a post-graduation plan. Explain how that's going to work.
So it's called Learn, Plan, Succeed. And essentially what we're doing is making sure that every single CPS graduate leaves with a plan in their back pocket. And that's no different than what maybe you and I had sitting around the dinner table at home, where it was clear this is the plan post-graduation. For many of our students, that is not always clear. And when we looked at the data, the schools where, over 90% of the kids were graduating and going off to college, one thing that we noticed is that every single student left with a concrete plan. We know at the age of 18 or 19, those plans may change, but we think that it's important that they leave with a roadmap. And then they'll be adults. They'll make whatever decisions they feel are best for them upon graduation. But I don't think there's anything wrong with making sure that there's a plan in place.
And I think on paper, just about everybody agrees that it's a good idea. But you are getting a little pushback and saying that this may be stretching the resources thin for counselors. And the fact that you're denying sort of this diploma to students who have earned it. What is your reaction?
Two things on that. The resources are real. That's why we added 10 citywide post-secondary counselors in this new budget. So actually 7,000 seniors will have access citywide in addition to the counselors that they have in their school building. And those college counselors who work citywide, their only job will be to support students through the college application process or their post-secondary planning process. The other thing that I would say is that this also acknowledges that there are multiple pathways. While we are focused on college as a North Star, we're also now giving credit to schools and students if they choose to go to the military, if they choose to go into a career or technical education program. So it's much more encompassing and respecting that there are multiple paths once you leave. But this is what I will say to people who think that this is going to be a barrier. Our students continue to rise to the occasion. Every single student in Chicago and in Illinois has to take the SAT in order to graduate from high school. That has not reversed graduation rates. In fact, it has helped us identify more and more students who are college bound and college ready. So our students continue to rise to the occasion. And what I say to folks, the student who fails to do this, when the counselor follows up, you're going to have a much more robust conversation with that child, because you're going to want to understand why is it that you're not engaged in this process, as opposed to just kind of leaving them to their own devices.
The controversy with some school closures. Some families are very upset in Inglewood, as you know, about the closing of 4 schools and building a brand new one, a multi-million, $85 million new school. You have adjusted that plan a little bit, but why is that the best decision to do that?
I think, number one, we have a choice. In the case of Inglewood, you have 4 severely under-enrolled schools. Each school has less than 100 students, or about 100 students, for 4 grade levels. I was a high school principal for 11 years. It is nearly impossible to not only provide the graduation requirements, but a high quality educational experience when you don't have a full complement of students and a complement of programming for students to be successful. We're not talking about widespread school closings without reinvestment. A brand new school is coming, and I think the ultimate goal is to have more students in Inglewood attend the school in their neighborhood and not have to travel 6 miles to get to a high-quality school.
And what about the National Teachers Academy on Cermak? That is changing from an elementary, middle school to a high school. And somewhat controversial as well.
Yeah, that plan is controversial, and we have, again, made changes to that plan as a result, most notably pushing back the start date because of the reaction that we had from the community. But there's an issue there that has to be handled in a responsible way. We have an overabundance with the new South Loop Elementary School being built, 3,000 elementary school seats in one area and 0 high school seats. Now, some people will make a case that there are other schools that the children in the region are zoned to, but the fact is no one is attending those schools. I think when we counted, there was less than 4% of students choosing those schools. as a district leader, we have to make tough decisions sometimes, but they're for the greater good. And I think in the long run, if you are a resident in the near South area, you will have access to high quality elementary seats, but now you will also have access to a high quality high school that you don't have to apply to get into. You can attend that school just by virtue of living in that region.
Dr. Janice Jackson, that is all the time we have this Sunday morning. Thank you so much for joining us, the new CEO.